Wakanda forever. Good morning, everybody. It's the pollinator. I know I used my name the last time, but that's because I uploaded this video to two of my channels, and one of them doesn't see the other channel for a reason. I won't say what that reason is in case the media is watching over there on the other channel and they happen to run across this one. Anyway, a little housekeeping. The last time I said, what did I say? House cleaning? I don't know why I said that. It just came out of my mouth that way. There is a subscribe button over there, and if you click that, subscribe, and you click the little bell, it'll give you the option to click on all videos, all notifications actually, so that you can see each time that I upload a video. Okay, so, oh, and that helps to bring visibility of my videos to the YouTube world. Hitting the thumbs up or thumbs down also helps push it out into the internet, and if you share it as well. So all of those things make the videos more visible in the YouTube world. So anyway, that's it for the housekeeping. There's also always a link. There's a link in the description of these videos that point to my PayPal account. So if you'd like to throw a brother a couple $, for what I do and what I post on YouTube, that would be great. Not necessary, and it does happen sometimes. From time to time, I get donations. Because I could charge for these things, but I don't do it regularly enough to justify that in my head yet. But trust me, try to make a video and put it on YouTube. You will quickly see how it's, even though we make it look easy, it's really not easy to expose yourself to God knows how many people around the world. And so if you did that, you'd appreciate it and probably would throw a couple of $, here and there. Anyway, this video, in my last one, I mentioned that, you know, there's a whole lot I could be talking about. And before I go radio silent again, because I never know when that's going to happen, I figured to make another video real quick. Yesterday was a great day. I did public speaking at a corporation through Zoom, and when I do those kinds of talks, even when I do these YouTube videos, I forget everything that I say after I finish a public speaking engagement, and so I had no idea what I said. And as soon as the show went off, I start getting all these accolades from the hosts, and that people are burning up the email channels, you know, wondering who I was, and really pleased with the speech that I did. It was an adversity training for employees of this corporation. I won't mention its name, but you know, from time to time I get asked to speak at places, and I don't do it enough to start really charging people, even though the next time, if I'm asked back to that particular corporation, I will charge for the engagement. And it depends on how well you're known in the public speaking circuit as to how much you can charge for doing public engagements. But I figure, you know, as long as it's happening out there, I might as well get some chump change for it. I'm still trying to figure out how to get my top surgery paid for, so, you know, every little bit helps. So, like I said, I mentioned that there was a whole lot that I could be talking about. I mean a whole lot. Here's the difference between being black and any other race in this country. The difference being that we pretty much have to keep our ear to the ground to know what's going on around the country. The hot spots, the zones of unsafety or lack of safety for us. It's a well-known fact, whether white people want to admit it or not, that the police were never created to protect black people. They were created to protect white people. And that's what they do, and that's why they kill us with impunity, which is slowly starting to shift. And, you know, people are starting to say it's no longer acceptable for these Leos not to be held accountable for what they do. You know, and then you got this big old pushback, usually white men more than anybody else, you know, claiming that, you know, if you don't resist, then you won't get killed. If you don't commit a crime, then you won't get killed. Not true. A lot of us that get killed are for no reason at all. We don't have to be resisting. We don't have to have committed a crime. Of course, what they do is as soon as one of us is murdered, they start looking for dirt on us, which is 10 times more likely or more to be in our past than white people, because they go into our neighborhoods and arrest us far more frequently than they'll go into the white neighborhoods and arrest those people. And then they don't go looking for what's going on in their past. In fact, they make excuses for what's going on in their past, versus what they do to us, which is victim blaming, and pretty much put the nail in the coffin by saying, well, they had a criminal background, so that justifies killing them in the present for traffic tickets or minor offenses like weed, stuff like that. How many white people does that happen to? Zero. They have to be serial killers, practically, to get the police to kill them. And even then, they don't. They will take them alive, but these people are, I wouldn't say clever enough, sick enough to commit suicide instead of let themselves be taken alive, for the most part. But even then, in the last 5 years, I've heard of a lot of them being taken alive after they've committed some kind of serial killing. Especially that guy, was it down in Florida? Yeah, Florida, whatever. If that had been a black man, he wouldn't be alive today. So again, the laws and the police and a lot of things in this country are shaped and created to protect white people, and they weren't created for us. Even the Constitution wasn't created with us in mind. There have been amendments, but people were finding their ways around the amendments. You know, look at the Voting Rights Act. They're finding ways around that. They just take it out of the federal level and they put it in the state level, and then the states try to manipulate and control voter suppression. And so either way, we're screwed and having the power taken out of our hands. Anyway, I say all that to say that I don't know. It's just these facts of living black in America are things that we need to know in order to, I don't know, have some level of vigilance in watching our backs and trying to make sure we don't become a statistic. White people don't have to do that. And there's this huge level of denial going on all over the internet because they don't have to live that kind of life. And so they think that if they don't have to live that kind of life, then it must not exist. That is the same place that this idea that racism doesn't exist, because it doesn't exist for them. You know, our experiences don't happen to them. So they gaslight us all day long, every day, all day. That, you know, if they don't experience it, then it must not exist. So there's all sorts of crap going on. And, you know, since George Floyd was murdered, it seems like they've been on a steady, the police have been on a steady incline to show us that they can still do that with immunity, that qualified immunity crap that's going on in the police unions. And let me tell you where this really comes from. You know, it comes from something that was created in, hold on, I need to look around this thing. Something that was created in 1712 by a guy named Willie Lynch, who did a speech that year on the bank of a river, I think the James River in the colony of Virginia. He created this, what they call the famous Willie Lynch letter, that explains in great detail how to control your slaves. And this guy had the unmitigated gall to say that these methods would work for 300 years. Then, not long after that, said, well, some of these methods could actually work for thousands of years. And most definitely that they are. We're on our heels in this nation of the United States of America. And that's for a reason, to keep us on our heels, keep us working so much we can't even breathe, keep us in a level of distrust for one another, a level of envy for one another, a level of chaos and confusion. Keep us in that state, and they pretty much can control us. Now, I'm going to put a link to the video, to a video that is a narration of that letter up over there, and so you can hear for yourself what's in that letter. Now, every black person will listen to that and see similarities between what they did to control slaves and what they're doing now to control black people. They haven't, the only thing that's moved away from that letter is the idea of lynching, which now they just use guns, and slavery itself is gone. But I'm telling you, corporations is the new plantation. Keep you underpaid, keep you overworked, keep you without benefits, keep you without a union. They have destroyed everything that affects them as well as it does us, but more us than it does them. Because in corporations, they can pick and choose and hunt and peck who they're going to oppress more than other people, who they're going to promote, who they're going to let into their executive suites, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so it is a form of slavery, modern day form of slavery, to continue to economically disenfranchise us. As long as we don't have the money to fight them, then again, that keeps the control in their court. And yep. And then you try to find a lawyer to fight some of the microaggressions and macroaggressions of racism. Ain't gonna find one. And they know we're not rolling in dough and don't have 5 to 10 grand sitting around for their what are those fees that see, I lost what that was last time I spoke. Okay, it's not coming to me what that is, what that word is. But it's an upfront fee that these attorneys charge you to take on cases. It's probably going to come to me when I stop talking about it. But it costs money to sue. So another way they keep us off their backs is that we collectively don't have enough money to pay attorneys that are part of the problem too, to go after these people and unearth what they're doing to keep us under control. So anyway, so there's something else that's happening right now, worldwide, but worse than the United States than anywhere else, because they are afraid. By the year, and I've said this in other videos, but I'm just going to repeat it again because people need to know this is coming. I may not be here when it happens, but around the year 2045, anybody said anywhere from 2043 to 2047, and who knows when it's really going to happen. But around that year, BIPOC, which stands for Black, Indigenous, and then POCs, will outnumber white people in this country because they're dying faster than they're being born. And they are so fucking afraid that they won't be in control and power when that time comes, that they're freaking out in a lot of different ways to make sure that they can control the masses, just like they did in South Africa. The apartheid of South Africa is right here in the United States. And they've been ramping this up for decades, if not, I'd say decades, or I wouldn't say centuries, maybe a century. They've been steadily moving that bar and separating the rich from the poor, and the wealth gap increasing so that they're going to be in control when that happens. And it's causing them to freak out in such crazy ways. It's like they want to deny everything so that, well, see, I don't even know why the so that, because it's irrational. But a lot of people believe what these nutcases, especially the GOP right now, they're the ones that are squeaking the loudest and the most irrationally than all people in the United States. They believe them. Otherwise, why would almost half of the people who voted in 2020 voted to keep the status quo, voted to keep that lunatic Trump in office? Why would all of those people have done that if they did not, in somewhere in their minds and in their hearts, believe in the hype of fear-mongering to get them folks to keep things the way that they are, to keep things from progressing, to keep things from changing, to keep them in control? That is the fear, is that they're losing control. And they're starting to lose control because things are starting to shift and move. And it's happening so fast that there's this polarization going on in the United States where, yeah, they're being snuffed out. Their stupid-ass apologies aren't working anymore. The typical things that they do to keep things just the way they are is not working. Most black people, for a long, long time, would forgive all of these atrocities and inequities going on in the system. But there's more people that are saying, no, it's not going to be like that no more. And we're going to push back. So while we're trying to push forward, trying to push for change, trying to push for a more equitable system, trying to push for this, trying to push for that, they are pushing back against that because they don't want to see things change. They don't want to try to imagine the way we've had to live all of our lives and start having those stressors in their life. They don't want to imagine what that would look like, even though we say that it won't cause stress on them to alleviate our stress. We're not trying to take revenge. We just want a more equitable system. Try telling them that. They're like, no, if we give you guys power and control, you're going to do to us what we've done to you. That is the fear. that despite, because they lie and they're sneaky, they think everybody else is doing that. You know, everybody else is lying about what we do if they got their knee off our fucking neck. And that basically is how we feel about our existence in the United States. Is they've got their knee on the neck of black people, and they've had their knees on our neck, theoretically and figuratively, for hundreds of years. And they would much rather keep that there just in case we're not satisfied with getting equity and having them to leave us alone and treat us like human beings and treat us the way they're getting treated. Basically. They don't believe that we would be happy with that. They believe that we take that power and their lack of control and turn the tables on them. And again, you have to go, you just absolutely have to listen to the Willie Lynch video that I'm posting along with this video. You'd have to listen to that to understand where people are coming from. And I've been, to try to circumvent the way that I've been feeling the last 8 months, I've been doing little things here and there, mostly writing over on Medium and responding to other people's articles and being kind of like a savior of the black women that are on that platform. As I come around and I see trolls in the articles, I troll the trolls. I jump on them. Because black women have been complaining that black men don't have their backs and aren't protecting them. And I just find it to be my job to do that. Anyhow I can, anywhere I can. I couldn't do that on Fuckerbook because they were too goddamn busy trying to strip us of our control and power, that, you know, they were booting us off the platform for protecting ourselves and our women. It's one of the reasons why I got kicked off of there, is because I didn't put up with any shit. I didn't put up with their shit. And if I saw it happening, they would call me into their stuff. Black people would call me into arguments that they were having with other white people because they knew I was a pit bull. They knew if they sicked me on them, I'd gnaw their fucking leg off, right? So I'm sure Fuckerbook was plenty aware that I was doing that sort of thing, because some of them goons were just following me around just to see what I was doing. And if they didn't like what I was doing, boom, they put me in group jail or whatever, just to start adding up negative points against me to justify what they did in the end, which was to ban my account, permanently ban my account. And that was enough. That's straight out of Willie Lynch too. Envy, distrust, fear. Those are the three things they use to control us. Is that not something that's still happening today? Yeah, absolutely, in the black community. And then you've got the mainstream black people that are distrusting of the non-mainstream black people, meaning the LGBTQ or anybody that didn't fit their particular narrative. That's causing division and distrust and fear that they use to divide and conquer. All of these things are the name of their game. Controlling the dissemination of information, controlling who does what on their social media platforms, which is becoming a very powerful way to control what's going on in our community. But, you know, they're also trying to control that too. They just kick you off, get rid of you if you're a big voice and you know, you're for your people. So they control the media, they control social media, they control literature, they control TV, they control all forms of communication where we cannot get to each other and unify on their platforms. They will put an end to that if any leader sticks up and sticks out to unify and be all about the people. I'm sorry, I should have turned off my TV because I can see the colors changing. So these are some of the things, you know, aside from us having to deal with the trauma of seeing our brothers and sisters murdered in cold blood with no recourse. See, the DA in Minneapolis was a very powerful and strong DA. I think it was a black person, male or female. But on the rest of the lawmakers, law enforcers, or whatever, they're not strong in every city and every place where there's a large number of black people. So while the stuff happened in Minneapolis, it quickly started happening everywhere around the country to thumb their noses up at us that, yeah, well, the DAs in our city, our state, aren't going to fight back, and they're not going to prosecute us, and they're not going to indict us, and they're not going to do any of that kind of thing. So, nanner, we still going to kill y'all, and we still going to put the fear of God in you. We're still going to have you on edge. We're still going to have you wondering if you can protect your families. We're still going to have you wondering if you're going to be able to make a living. I mean, it's in every area of every aspect of life for us, where it's not that way for white people. And it's less so depending on what nationality or, quote, race you are in this country. There's a pecking order, and it goes white, yellow, brown, red, and black. That is the pecking order. That is also what they set up. Not so much the other races, because they weren't as prominent in this country during slavery. There were Native Americans, blacks, and Hispanics, and white people during slavery. And so the others came at a later time. But they even set us up to compete with each other there. And so racism is just as much a part of the Hispanic community, the Asian community, and the Native American community as it is the white community. And it's all designed this way. It's all designed to keep certain people down because they know we're mad. They know if we got a break, we do something with it. There's not enough Native Americans to make a big impact, but there's enough of us that if they put us in the position that they put the Native Americans, we'd run with that and make something of it. We'd create Black Wall Streets all over again. We'd create Rosewoods all over again. We'd create all of that stuff again. And that's just another way to keep us from doing that. Because why did something just move down there? The elites have all the money, right? And then they distribute those funds and all that money to the whites that are underneath the elites. And then those people have a level of people under them that they distribute that money to. And then it keeps going on and circulating around and around among them. And then they throw us crumbs for marketing, for media, black-owned media, for things that we would need in order to get a leg up so that we can start creating those kinds of communities and cities in the United States. Black Wall Streets, look it up. Look up Tulsa, Oklahoma, and what happened. You know, they burnt that place down. There was another community in either Georgia or Florida or somewhere on the southern east United States, where it was like a Black Wall Street, and they burnt that down. Anytime we get anywhere, they start to burning shit down. and they made it so that in destroying all of that, when it was cheaper to create it a long time ago, we just stop trying to do that, because what's the point of creating something great for our people if they're just going to turn around and burn it down? Now, it's illegal to do that today, but they're so far ahead in the economics of the United States that we don't have enough black people to be able to create a city for us. Because that city has to contain all resources that a city would need to thrive. It's like having a small a deployment of a military unit. They've got everything to make a small city. It's almost like a city within a city, the way they set up camp around the world. And we'd have to be able to do something like that, which means, guess what? We'd have to have an army, a military. We'd have to protect us. We'd have to have police that protect us, not them, black people, to protect black people. Not black people connected to white people that are just going to do what white people say or lose their jobs. But black people who answer to black people, that they won't lose their jobs, because we'll be protecting each other, not trying to kill each other off like these white cops are doing today. They're nothing but slave patrols. That's how the police departments got created, from the KKK a long time ago. But we need that. We need hospitals. We need schools. We need grocery stores. We need gas stations. We need all of those things, all of those resources in order to create a city. And they know we don't have the economics to do that. They give reparations to every other race of people in this country, except, I think, Hispanics. I'm not sure if they got reparations for what happened a long time ago. They stole this country from them too. Oh, Southern United, Texas was Mexico. California was Mexico. Arizona, New Mexico, what are those states in between Texas and California? Anyway, all of that territory was Hispanic owned. They ran them off too. They killed them off with violence, with shedding blood. That is why white people are in the position that they're in this country, is because they did that. Then they set up this way of building economic wealth for them. And then when slavery ended, they made sure the slavery kept going by creating all sorts of laws that criminalized black people getting ahead after they decided not to give us 40 acres and a mule. All this stuff is out there on the internet, folks, and we're still being affected by it economically to this day. That's why slavery has not ended in the United States. It's because they still got their thumb on our heads. 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. The system of racism and oppression is alive and well in 2021. All of it by design. All of it to keep certain people in power so that they can keep other people in power. So that those people can make sure they stay in power. It's all a power grab. It's all about power, economics, money, capitalism. And then create this pecking order and this level of distrust among them. Oh, and the envy. They control us with envy too. The black celebrities and people who are making it are a lot of black people envy them and they're jealous of them, and they will try to take them down if they can. And it's not like it's because they're so desperately poor and they're tired of it and they don't know how to get out of that. Because it takes money to create businesses. And then if we had our own businesses, we could employ our own people. You got to get the businesses first, right? So they're even in business when you start a business. Hell, look and see how many people black people got their hands on the stimulus money. There's just levels and levels of bullshit in this country that is designed to keep us down, and white people don't care. Because it's not keeping them down, right? So why should they care that it's keeping us down and back and whatever? What do they care that they're putting hurdles and hurdles and hurdles for us to jump as long as they don't have to jump them, right? It's all about toying with human nature. It's all about toying with, psychologically toying with people, where, so that they don't care. It's not a mistake that the world has become a lot more self-centered and a lot less about each other, a lot less about your neighbor, a lot less about whoever you bump into in the world out there. It's all about me, my. Give it to me, give it to me. I don't care about you. So, and then you got people that come along that pretend to care about you, but really they're sitting there to siphon off of you. And they could care less to contribute to what you're doing or trying to do for them. I've experienced that in my own business, folks. People just hanging around seeing what they could get for free, seeing what they could get without having to contribute anything, see what they could get without having to say anything, see what they can get without having to risk anything. Just hanging around, lurking to get nuggets or something thrown at them. Funny, when I was seeing that, I made a point not to do it. I wasn't throwing any nuggets out there until I saw their heart, to see if they were in it to win it, or to see if they were in it to just siphon off of somebody who was. I'd rather my business go fucking down than to let a bunch of people take it down by their inaction and their inactivity. All of them afraid of taking a risk and upsetting the apple cart and being taken apart by people who, by all intents and purposes, want to take you apart, because they're scared. They're scared of what's going to happen if they don't stay in control and in power. No matter who they stomp on, that's between them and us. It's how they get poor white people's attention. Tell them that, you know what, you won't lose your white privilege, so jump on our bandwagon. But we ain't giving you shit. But jump on our bandwagon, at least you have white privilege, right? Meanwhile, those people are getting run over, and they're the same people that are pissed off, saying that, oh, manufacturing isn't coming back, and just all sorts of bizarre shit that motivates them to thinking they're fucking victims of society. Victims of who? Your people. Certainly not us. Certainly not any of the other POC are you victims. You're a victim of your own system. But you want to blame people that have nothing to do with it. That's how irrational this shit is. By picking on uneducated, ignorant ass people who are just, throw the bone that way and they go chasing it. Even if that bone's full of poison. Poison and misinformation and lies and propaganda and just bullshit, because they're not very smart. They're motivated by fear. They're motivated by, they're like sheep. They're a herd of sheep. And I saw something really, I saw a comedy show where this guy said, you know what, all I got to do is run, and a whole bunch of black people will run with me. They don't even know what we're running from. They'll just take off. He said, I'll do it right now and just take off running. And a whole bunch of people will start running with me before they turn around and look and see what we're running from. But that's how herd mentality is. That's how this sheep mentality is. All they have to do is see one sheep go that way, and they're all going to go that way, right? So anyway, I didn't talk about anything in particular. I just wanted to say I've got my eye on everything that's going on because I have to. I'm not white, and I'm not Asian, and I'm not Hispanic, and I'm not Native American. So I'm seeing what's going on for all of them and all of us. But I am B1 black first. I'm going to notice what's happening to us before I notice and recognize and acknowledge anything that's happening for the rest of them. Because guess what? They're not doing that for us. So I'm just not prone anymore to speaking up and out about people in this country who aren't living the kind of life that we have to live, and people in other countries where the same thing is happening. The nonsense that's going on over in Israel. Okay, I happen to side with the Palestinians, but it still isn't our fight. Yeah, we got our nose in everything because the United States government is like that. You know, their interests are money and power and oil and control and any kind of resources that are going on in that country that benefit the United States. The United States has been supplying weapons to the Israelites to fight the Palestinians. So of course they're not going to try to speak up against what's going on with the Palestinians because they're complicit in what's going on there when they give weapons to one side and not the other, or whatever games that they play around money. Anyway, we got enough problems in our own backyard that we're not fixing to pay a whole lot of attention to things that are going on in other countries while we got a problem pointing fingers at who's doing what to their humanity. What about what we're doing? I'm just waiting for some other country to say, oh no, the United States is committing all sorts of crimes against humanity. We need to do our UN thing on the United States and tell them to stop terrorizing and killing your people. Stop trying to commit genocide and call it something else to your own people. But see, the United States is in a position where everybody is afraid to say anything about what this government is doing to us. Because then we might not fund some of the bullshit that they want us to fund. It's all about money, power, and control. So anyway, this is what has also been on my mind since my father passed away. Just traumatized and trying to lay low and not see as much as is going on out there all the time, because it's depressing that we have been disfranchised and disempowered to do anything about it, and that is by design as well. It's by design. Make us watch it so what they will fear them even more, so that they can be in more control when the tides change. When the demographics change in the United States, this place is going to try to look just like South Africa and the apartheid. It ain't slick, but they are slick, because they might actually pull it off if we don't stop them. Now, how do we stop them? Good question. It may take a civil war of some sort. It may take so much civil unrest that they cannot fucking control it. Because as soon as white folks get involved in that stuff, it gets whitewashed. And it dies down and it goes away. I mean, to me, that's by design too, that they get involved and then let the whole goddamn movement die down. That is by design. You start burning some shit down. That seems to be the only way to get people's attention. And it's a shame that they've pushed us in a corner like that, where that's the only way to get their attention. The powers to be. The ones making all the decisions and controlling all the money and controlling all the economics in the United States. I vote for change rather than to be pushed in that corner and start striking out, trying to get vengeance instead of equality. And that's the name of that tune. You guys have a great rest of the weekend. Oh, tomorrow I will have 38 years of continuous sobriety and clean time. I got clean and sober in 1983, May 23rd. And I can't even believe it's been that long. I think, yeah, I've been sober and clean more than half of my life. And more than a lot of people, longer than a lot of people have been alive. That, I should feel amazing about that, but it's been so long, it's almost just like having 2 birthdays in a year. That's about how much it affects me. Oh, I need to order a chip. I get these little chips. I'll show you. And I don't get them every year. But this is an Alcoholics Anonymous chip. And it's got the number of years on it. And then on the back, it has a serenity prayer. And if I go to certain meetings in this area, it's got a whole bunch of sayings, a whole bunch of little prayers on it and stuff. I think this was my 35-year one. One of them I got actually had my name imprinted on it. But when I look out there on the internet, I don't even see how they, that may be particular for that meeting. But one of them chips I got, I think my 30-year one, somebody actually put my name on it. It's pretty cool. But anyway, I'm going to order another one of these for 38 years. It's going to be a whole lot of numbers, so it's going to have to fit on that little triangle. Anyway, I'm going to celebrate that by myself tomorrow. And later today, I'm going to go hang out with some buddies for one of their birthdays. So you guys have a great weekend, and the pollinator is out.